was a 14-year-old African-American from Chicago who traveled to Money, Mississippi to visit his relatives. Till came home later in a box. He had supposedly whistled at a white woman, and 14 white men, angered by his arrogance, beat him senseless, shot him to death, and dumped his body in the Tallahatchie River, weighing it down with an engine from a cotton gin. His mother, determined to see that justice was done, had an open casket at Emmett's funeral, because in her words, "I want the world to see what they did to my baby." Emmett was my son. I called him Bobo. Emmett was my only child. And he never knew his father because his father and I separated when Emmett was a baby. Emmett was a high-spirited, fun-loving, responsible young man. And even though he suffered from a bout of polio at the age of 5, it left him with a stutter. But that didn't stop my funny boy. It only slowed him down. I remember that summer when Emmett told me that he wanted to go visit his relatives in Mississippi. My very soul cried out no. You see, Emmett was born and raised in the south side of Chicago, where there were a lot of black businesses, and he was well known. Emmett didn't know anything about the ways of the South. And although I pleaded with him and tried to reason with him, he had his mind set on going. And he promised me he would be careful. And so I let him go. I let him go. And besides, my Bobo, he was a good boy. Well, less than a week later, my Bobo was dead. I found out that he had been accused of flirting with a white woman. And her brother and husband went and took him out of his uncle's house at 2:30 in the morning. And they killed him. Well, when I went to the funeral home, the first thing I noticed was he had a padlock on my baby's coffin. And I was like, how bad can it be? So I told them, look, you got to take that off. I got to see my baby. No, they didn't want to do it. I had to threaten to bust the lock off the coffin with an axe before they even opened it. And don't you know the sheriff had said he wanted to arrest me? But I didn't care. That was my baby. But once they opened the coffin, I prepared myself as to what I was about to see. I started at his feet. And I looked. And the first thing I noticed was the torn, bloated skin on his hands, where they had took my baby and tied him with barbed wire to a cotton gin thing and drug him. As my eyes continued, and I got to my baby's beautiful face, what they had to my baby, not only had they beaten him beyond recognition, had gouged out one of his eyes. The only reason he was recognizable was from a ring that I gave him the day that he left. And on top of all of that, on top of everything that they did, don't you know they shot? They shot my Bobo. My baby. After I saw what they did to my Bobo, I decided I'm going to have an open casket. I want the world to see what they did to my Bobo. Now, I want you to see.